Hi, my name's Gina. Welcome to my channel, Patrick Cat's Place. For a while I've been thinking about making a video talking about how I became interested in Elvis. I love hearing people's stories of how they became Elvis fans, and I've had a few subscribers say to me, why don't you tell us your story? So I thought I'll do it tonight. Now at the moment I've got the camera focused on my Elvis wall and my cardboard cutout, because I've just had a shower, my hair's wet and I don't really want to be seen on the camera. So I'll start off by reading a couple of notes I've made. I can't remember everything, but sometimes if I'm talking off the top of my head I forget. So there were no Elvis fans in my childhood home to guide me. I was the youngest child with two older brothers, 8 and 10 years older than me. My dad only listened to church and classical music, and my brothers took after him. Mum didn't have a say in it, so there was no pop music played in our house at all. Not until I was about 12 in 1960, and I started to hear about Elvis from the girls at school. They'd walk around the schoolyard at lunchtime singing GI Blues, and I thought, that's a catchy song, what are you singing? And that's when they told me about Elvis. So I was curious, and I begged Mum to take me to see GI Blues. When Elvis appeared on the screen, I nearly wet myself, and I screamed along with all the other girls in the theatre. Mum was appalled, and she tried to drag me out of the theatre, but I flatly refused to leave. That was the day my hormones turned on, as Goldie Hawn once said. By the time I was 16, Dad and Mum resigned themselves to my ongoing crush on Elvis, and for my 16th birthday they bought me a portable record player so I could shut myself in my bedroom and play my records instead of inflicting Elvis on them in the turntable in the family room. This is the record player. I've still got it. It still works too. And I'm going to hang on to it because it's the only record player around that still plays 78s. Okay, now get myself lined up again. Where are we? Oop. Okay. I soon made friends with all the other kids in school who loved Elvis, and we tormented the music teacher, demanding that she play Elvis songs on the piano during music lessons. One year the school had a day trip to Canberra for the girls whose parents could afford the airfare. Canberra's about an hour's flight from Melbourne in those days. This is in 1962, and the planes were a lot slower than they are now. One of the girls had a fair-sized bag with her, and apparently none of the teachers or crew had asked her what was in it. She opened it during the flight to show the girls sitting nearby, and we were amused to see it was full of pictures and magazines about Elvis. She explained that if the plane crashed, she wanted to have her Elvis photos with her. Seriously, oh God, we laughed. The plane didn't crash, obviously. I saved my pocket money for records and magazines, and I joined fan clubs. Our Melbourne fan club was very active. We had trips interstate to meet up with other fan clubs, overnight trips on buses and trains, on which nobody got any sleep because we spent all night talking about Elvis. We hired films from film companies to have private showings in small theatres for the fan club members. In those days, nobody actually owned movies. I mean, back then, there was no internet, no videos or DVDs. One of our members of the club was a young man who had contacts in the entertainment industry, and he leased a small nightclub one night a week, and we had our own rock dance. It was called Jailhouse, and it ran for a few years. We decorated the background of the stage with posters from Jailhouse Rock. We had a regular rock band and some well-known local rock singers as guests from time to time. In 1966, our fan club, Gay, her name was, and don't make jokes about the name, that was a girl's name back then, decided we should have an Elvis float in the Melbourne Moomba Parade. Now, Melbourne Moomba Parade was a major event on the Melbourne calendar back then, and a few of us wondered how Gay would achieve this, but she was very innovative. Her father had contacts at the Melbourne City Council, and he was able to get a hold of a float and a huge crown to put on it. Gay contacted RCA in Melbourne, and they provided a big gold record and some LP covers and posters to decorate the float. It was a huge success, and the club got hundreds of new members after that. Now I'll stop there. I'm just going to show you some photos in my photo album of what I've been talking about. Some of the earliest of ones when I was a fan. Okay. This photo was taken at the premiere of Follow That Dream in 1962. That's me, and that's my girlfriend Anita, who was an Elvis fan too. And they had this big Elvis cardboard cutout because all the kids were lining up to have their photos taken. This is my bedroom wall in those days. Let me see, there's Elvis up there. there was other pop stars that I liked. And we've got, oops, turn over. We've got a pen friend in England sent me a giant photo of Elvis, a poster, and I've had my photo taken with that, as did all my girlfriends. This is another photo that I won on a TV show. A girlfriend, Pam, in Tasmania, she had her photo taken. That's me. It was at the end of my bed, so like I said, there was a trail of girlfriends having their photos taken. There's me again with a photo. That's my bedroom door with, was that Elvis? I'm not quite sure who that was. There's Elvis. Could have been Richard Chamberlain. Different stars that I liked at the time. There's my girlfriend, Shah, looking up at Elvis. And I lined up, I wanted to get a photograph, and all these photos are black and white because there was no, well, colour film was around, but it was very expensive. Oh, geez, reflection, sorry about that. Mum was lying on one of those black sun lounges, so I lined up all my record covers and took the photo, and took ages to line them all up, and Mum was hanging on to them, but she said, "You finished yet? I'm sick of this." She's very good, she indulged me with my Elvis love. Okay, now here's the float at the Elvis Moomba Parade, the Melbourne Moomba Festival. Elvis Presley Fan Club float being built by Gay and family and friends. So this is outside Gay's house. We painted this section here. That was the crown that we got from the Melbourne City Council. There's another photo, close up of the crown. And here's the finished product. The crown, with a few of us standing around it. The gold record with one of our members standing up there dressed as a page boy. Photos of Elvis and posters. And that was the front of it. Elvis 1966 special. There we are again. That's me holding, it was float number 100 in the parade. And the parade ends in Alexandra Gardens, just outside of the city of Melbourne. The floats all they sort of disperse around the gardens, and people go up and look at them and talk to. Well, our float, I think, had more attention than anyone else. People come up, they were amused, surprised, rapt if they were Elvis fans. So yeah. Okay, here we are at Jailhouse Rock Dance in Black Rock in Melbourne, 1966. The premieres of the band, that's me. Probably can't see that. I'll see if I can get out of the standing section. Why that light? It's so bright. Sorry about this. Okay, that poster there is, I painted that poster off a photo. And there's me and another girl standing there. That's my big picture that I got from a pen friend in England. We had that up there too. Colin Cook, one of our local singers. Betty McQuaid, another local singer. Hal and Ellie, another group, and Dennis Cunningham. Dennis was the guy who, the member of the fan club who organised it all. Very successful dance. Okay, what have we got? Okay, this is in 1968 when Elvis's gold Cadillac did a tour of Australia and it came to Melbourne. I'll tilt this up again, see if I can do it any better. Yeah, a bit hard to see. Got colour photos in those days weren't like they are these days. But it was a real buzz seeing inside that car and thinking that Elvis might have been sitting in it at some stage. I wonder if he ever drove that gold Cadillac around or whether it was just made as a bit of a gimmick. Yeah, the display had Elvis's gold records, and again, another cardboard cutout. Never did I think in those days that I'd have my own cardboard cutouts of Elvis to have around the house. And that's the engine. Okay, there we go over the page. Oh, okay, this isn't Elvis, this is just some of the other stars that we saw in Melbourne at Jerry Lee Lewis at Festival Hall in 1970. Standing on the piano. And this is Bill Haley in 1974 at the South Melbourne Cricket Ground. It was a buzz to see him. Let's see, what else have we got? Oh. Okay, that's my ex-husband Wayne. Yeah. That's him again. He's a lot younger than what he probably is now. I haven't seen him for a long time. Okay, and this was Fats Domino in 1975. Again, Festival Hall. Yeah, and that's about all the Elvis fan photos I've got in my album. Right, on with my story. Hey Elvis, what do you think so far? Wow, gorgeous man. So, about 1968, 1969, Gay decided she didn't want to run the fan club anymore, so she handed it over to me. One of the fan club members was a bloke named Wayne, and he wrote to the club to ask about a certain record cover. I happened to have it, so I took it over to his place one day. Fell in love with him the same day. We started going out together, and after a few months I asked him if he would like to take over the presidency of the club. As I'd never called myself president, I was happy just to be the club secretary. He did, and he did a great job running the club, with me continuing to be secretary, and he's still a club resident. 51 years he's been running it, and good on him. Wayne and I married in 1971, and our home became the hub for many happy hours spent with friends partying Elvis style. We went to the USA for our honeymoon and spent a month travelling around by Greyhound bus. Naturally, we stopped in Memphis to see Graceland and had our photo taken at the gates, but got no further because while Elvis was alive and living there, there were no guided tours of the house. In 1973, we returned to the US for 3 months again, travelling by Greyhound, and we stopped in Tupelo to see Elvis's birthplace. We also visited Las Vegas, but didn't get around to seeing the Hilton Hotel, and I don't know why. I must ask Wayne about that. I really can't remember why we would. Yeah, anyway, whatever, that happened. In 1976, Wayne's pen friend Hedy Drisson in San Francisco wrote to him to say Elvis was doing a concert there and she had spare tickets. Would we like to come and stay with him? Yes, we would. And see Elvis on stage, of course. By the time my reply got to her, she'd sold those tickets to someone else, so she got tickets elsewhere. They turned out to be the front row on the side of the stage, and when Elvis came out to go on stage, he walked right past us, close enough to touch. Colonel Parker and Linda Thompson were standing near us, and we talked to them for a while before the concert started. I had a Super 8 movie camera, but there were signs up everywhere saying movie films not allowed, so I didn't get any film. But I did take 24 slides of Elvis on stage, which all turned out very well, which most of you looking at this now have probably seen on my channel. When he was walking in our direction, I screamed, "Elvis, I love you," and he heard me. He grinned and said, "I love you too, honey." And I got the best photos. When Elvis was throwing scarves into the audience, the fans were going nuts, and I wasn't going to risk my life by trying to get one. But Linda heard me saying that to Wayne, and she said, "I'll get you one, honey." And she walked over to the stage, got a scarf and brought it back to me. Wayne and I split up in February the following year, and when Elvis died in August, I was in Queensland on holiday with my boyfriend Ken at a friend's home. We woke up on the morning of the 17th in Australia. When I say the 17th, it was the 17th of August in Australia. It was still the 16th of August in America, to hear Elvis being played non-stop in the kitchen radio. When we went out for breakfast, Ken's friend said straight away, "The King is dead." We realised straight away who we meant and were shocked beyond belief. Everyone was. Ken kept on looking at me, expecting me to burst into hysterical tears, knowing how long I'd been a fan. But I didn't cry at all then, not for a long time in fact. I just asked if they knew how Elvis died. And then we went out for a drive somewhere and put Elvis to the back of our minds. When we got it back home to Melbourne a week later, some of my friends were still crying on and off, and they were quite cross with me for not being as upset as they were. I just think I was numb. I think having seen him less than a year beforehand, I just couldn't take it in that he'd died. And I don't know, that's just weird. I have cried since, thinking about him. Anyway, moving on. When I moved out from our home, I left most of my Elvis gear with Wayne, because when we got married, we both had all of Elvis's records, and we decided it was a waste of space keeping both lots, so we sold or gave away mine and kept his. So I couldn't very well take them with me, could I? That'd be nasty. But I did take the scarf I got at the Elvis concert, most of my Elvis hardcover books and some other Elvis memorabilia that I had before I met Wayne. I had boxes and boxes of scrapbooks and magazines, and I left them behind. In 1997, Ken and I were struggling to pay our bills. We had a huge mortgage, and although we both worked full time and could pay the mortgage, we needed a lot more cash to pay for ongoing repairs and maintenance, such as a new hot water service, new spouting around the roof, and the floors had to be replaced due to termite damage. Shannon's Auctions in Melbourne were advertising an Elvis memorabilia auction to commemorate the 20th anniversary of his death, and invited people to put Elvis items up for sale and for other fans wanting to buy. I saw an opportunity to raise the funds that Ken and I needed to pay our bills, and I took most of my books and the Elvis scarf to the auction. Ken was not happy. He thought I was nuts. He said, "You shouldn't sell that scarf. You know you'll never get it again." And I said, "Look, it's either the house or the scarf. Make up your mind, Ken. We can't, we've got to pay our bills, and this is the only way we're going to get money straight away." The scarf was the biggest ticket item at the auction, and because there weren't too many Australians who had been to America and seen Elvis in concert, let alone got a scarf. The auctioneer asked me what I wanted for it, but I had no idea how much it was worth, so we started the bidding at $500. It went up to $3,000 and stopped. The auctioneer looked at me, and I said, "Yep, that's fine." I had some photos from the concert, and I had written the details of the date and venue on the back of them, and I gave them to the girl that won the scarf, and she was absolutely rapt. She said, "You've just maxed out my credit card." And I said, "Honey, you've just paid my credit card off." We had a bit of a laugh. I tell people that Elvis indirectly saved us from bankruptcy, as that $3,000 saved us from having to sell the house. As time went on, I bought Elvis music on cassettes and then CDs, but I didn't bother about vinyl, as it was on its way out by then. It's only in recent years that vinyl has had a resurgence in popularity, and I was lucky to be given a stack of vinyl LPs by my girlfriend Charmaine, her husband, because she died a few years ago. She was a close friend of mine, and she had most of Elvis's LPs and a few CDs and DVDs. So I've now bought all his movies on DVD, and I've also been buying a lot of books about Elvis. I think I've got 124 books, all his DVDs, not all his records. I don't think I'll ever have all of his records, because Follow That Dream keep bringing them out. My husband Ken died in October 2022, and again Elvis has come to my rescue, not financially but emotionally. Listening to his music, watching movies and concert videos, communicating with other Elvis fans locally and around the world on YouTube has helped me cope with the loss of my husband. And now I guess I'm back to enjoying life, really enjoying life with Elvis playing a big part of it. Thank you for watching. I hope to hear your story soon. Bye-bye.